Welcome to the City of Caldwell podcast. Today we're at the Chamber of Commerce with our newly elected. How's that work?
Appointed or hired.
So we have the executive director to the Chamber of Commerce. We have Travis. Travis, thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks for letting us get to know you. I know a lot of people are really excited to just get to know you, meet you, see what you're about. So yeah, let's start with that. Just tell us your background. I know you kind of said that recently at a luncheon not too long ago, but in short, who are you? Where are you from? What's your background?
So, born and raised in the Treasure Valley. I grew up in Southwest Boise and went to Bora High School, graduated there, went to the University of Idaho, got my degree, and majored in psychology and minored in interpersonal communication. And then came back from there and just went to work in the Boise area. And the very first sales related job I ever had, part of the training, was to go and get involved in the chamber. They were members. They said, go do chamber stuff because that's how you're going to meet people and make relationships and you're going to get business from it. And so I did. I joined a leads group, and then I started going to business after hours, and then I started going to the breakfasts and the luncheons and all kinds of different things that the Boise Metro Chamber had. And I got so involved in the chamber that even as I would move up in my career or change to a totally different company, the chamber was that one thing that remained constant everywhere, every step of the way, because I learned how to use it to benefit myself in my position and my employer and just make the chamber work as, what it's designed to do.
Right.
And I got so involved that I'd been at Washington Trust Bank as a account manager there for several years, and that a position opened up at the Boise Metro Chamber for their sales team, and they called me and they said, hey, we think you'd be a good fit. It's hard to find somebody that knows chamber programs as well as you do. Would you be interested in applying? And I did, and ended up getting hired, and was an account manager there, learned a ton from the Boise Chamber, and about 2 years later, position opened up in a little town called Cottage Grove, Oregon, which I was familiar with because my dad was from that area, and I'd been in and out of there, visiting grandparents and cousins and stuff ever since I was a kid. And so I decided, let's go for it. Let's see what happens. And it was for the executive director position. Ended up getting that job. My wife and I moved to Cottage Grove, and I spent 8 years there as the director. We had our stepdaughter Riley when we moved there, and then while we were there, we had 2 more kids, Miles and Julia, and we started raising our family there, and just ingraining ourselves into the community, and the chamber was for us. It was a great experience. I loved it. I loved the chamber. I loved the community, but home was always Idaho. My wife grew up in Boise as well. We actually grew up a few miles apart from each other, but never met until after I graduated college. But we wanted to come home eventually, and so we made a deal with each other that whichever one of us was able to get a job that was enough to bring us back to Idaho, then would make the move. And I didn't look very hard because I really liked the job and what I was doing, and she of course beat me to it, and she was able to get a job that was enough to bring us home, and so I quit my position at the Cottage Grove Chamber, and then we moved here at the end of 2019, and that was, as you know, right before this little thing called COVID hit the world. And
never heard of it. What is that?
Yeah, exactly. And so nobody was looking for a chamber director at that time, and so I got my real estate license and just was selling real estate for a few years.
Okay.
And then when I heard that the position here had opened up, I applied, and thankfully the board saw fit to hire me for the job, and so here I am.
And I think your wife is an educator, is that right?
Yeah, she wears a few hats. So she teaches online for Purdue Global. The job that brought her here was CWI, so she's a professor for CWI, so she'll teach online and hybrid classes for them. and then she's now actually taken on a full-time research consultant position for a market research company in downtown Boise.
So it was just because she didn't have enough stuff to do.
Yeah,
So
and she wants to start her own business on top of that too. So
not enough on her plate still.
Yeah, no shortage of things to do.
Okay. Do you have kids?
Yep. So we've got our stepdaughter who is grown and out of the house now, and then we've got our two kids, Miles and Julia, and they're going to school here in Caldwell over at Vision.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us, what is, I think in Caldwell, I don't want to speak for everybody, but just working for the city, it seems like people they have a hard time differentiating between the city, Destination Caldwell, and the Chamber.
100%.
So first, can you tell just the general, average Joe, just what the function of a Chamber of
Sure.
Commerce? Maybe this is a good plug for you. Like, why would a business get involved or a person get
Sure.
involved with the chamber? And I would just say, like, what makes a healthy Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah. The first thing is most people think that we're a department of the city, that we get confused as just being a function of the city. We get that all the time. Everybody's heard of the Chamber of Commerce. Not a lot of people actually know what we are and what we do. So the most I can put it in a nutshell is that we are a nonprofit organization for businesses. So we are our own organization. We are classified as a 501c6 nonprofit, and people pay membership dues to be a part of our organization. Our whole purpose is to represent the interests of businesses in an area. So, we're the Caldwell Chamber. Any business entity, for-profit or nonprofit, that wants to have a presence in the business community of the Caldwell area can do that through our Chamber of Commerce. So some people join chambers because they want a ribbon cutting and they want to be in our membership directory because it's like the local directory for small businesses. Some of them want to join because the advocacy piece of what we do. So advocacy is a huge piece of what Chambers of Commerce do that actually gets overlooked a lot. But it's arguably one of the biggest things that we do in a community. We're working with the city and we're working with all the different entities to make the Caldwell area a better place to try to start and run a business. So how do we do that? It depends. For example, if the powers that be decide they want to put in a food and beverage tax to try to raise funds for something, and we hear from our restaurants or our hospitality agencies that that's going to be detrimental to their business in some way, we can then become a voice for them and say, hey, let us go work with the people that are talking about this and see what they're really proposing, because as you know, the rumor mill runs rampant and fast, and usually the truth is not exactly what's being pushed out there.
Right.
So our job is to go sniff out what's really being proposed, and to be at the table for those discussions so that I can represent the interests of our members and bring up their voice and their concerns when we're at the table when these discussions are taking place.
Okay. So what makes a healthy Chamber of Commerce?
A healthy chamber should have a strong and diverse membership, and by diverse I mean every filter you can put on it. Small business, large business, retail, industry, minority owned, female owned, veteran owned. We need to have a broad spectrum of representation in our businesses. So, that's kind of a healthy membership would comprise all those things. And then functionally healthy, we need to be at every table we can be at. We need to be working in partnership with the city on things that they're doing, with police, fire, school districts, Destination Caldwell, our local tourism agencies. All these different facets and entities really have, their own missions in the community of Caldwell. we want to be working with every one of those we can and have a good working relationship with them, so that, again, when those conversations happen, we need to be prepared to bring up the viewpoints of the businesses in the community in every single different conversation that comes up in, so that their perspective can be given whenever possible. I don't know, that might be a kind of a complicated answer to that question.
No, I think that was pretty clear. I think that was well done.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks for just kind of educating us,
Yeah.
me and everybody else, whoever else on that. I know I'm somewhat into my position. I've been here for about a little bit over a year, and I've seen the chamber just have different events and have different things go on. So I know, for example, we're shooting this in late October, so I think you guys have you're gearing up for the Nightlight Parade.
Yep.
You just concluded you have the Buckaroo Breakfast that you guys do, which is a fundraiser, I
Yep.
believe.
Big signature event for us.
You guys do the ribbon cuttings. We just did one for an anniversary at a coffee shop not too long ago.
Yep. Java Station, 25 years.
So why don't you just tell us what your camper as a chamber kind of looks like, what your bigger trademark events kind of are. I know I said a couple of them,
Yeah.
but maybe just what they are, the purpose, if you know what the purpose
Sure.
is behind it, and what you guys have going on.
So in general, chambers of commerce, most everywhere, are probably most famous for their business after hours events, which is basically when one of our members wants to host an event. We do them at different locations at different businesses once a month. And we pick a night, and from 5 till 7, and that time can vary depending on where you go. But after typical business hours, they invite the community in, and they host with hors d'oeuvres and beverages, and basically just get people into their business, and throw some food and drink at them and get them talking and meeting and mingling. For the people that attend, it's just networking. It's hey, here, I'm so and so with the company, tell me about your company, and you exchange cards and information, and you're talking about anything under the sun, but you're building a relationship. That's what networking is. It's making connections, and it's building a relationship, because when you have a relationship with someone, you're far more likely to have a better transaction, if you will, when it comes to doing business together. If you and I don't know each other, and I know this person over here, and you both do the same thing, who am I going to go do business with?
Right.
Them. So, networking is the heart of everything that we do. So business after hours, it's a 2-hour classic meet and mingle networking. And then every time, we do it, the hosts get to, have a few minutes to send a message out about their business and why they wanted to invite people in. There's also monthly luncheons that we do. And the monthly luncheons are similar, and you get people to come to a location, they eat, but during that time, we build in an educational component. So we bring in a speaker or a presenter on any number of topics of choice. And that's another piece that I didn't talk about earlier that chambers do is, we want to provide educational opportunities for our members to get better informed, or to be, improve their skill set in whatever it is that they're looking for. So, last month the speaker was me, because I was brand new and they wanted to know who the director was. But fortunately, that'll be the only time I do that. They'll get better presentations, the rest of the months of the year. So, the one we have coming up is the luncheon, and the Ag Business Club, or the Ag Business Committee, excuse me. They're going to be presenting their Farm Family of the Year. It's a great event. I would highly encourage anybody that has any interest in agriculture or our local farmers to come to that luncheon. It's a great event, and it highlights a wonderful family.
Cool.
Other events that we do, a morning coffee event. So, you've been to this one, I think, maybe our Coffee Connects it's usually on a Thursday morning once a month, and people just show up, and the host provides free coffee, and people stand around and just chat, and it's a great way to start your morning. It's actually one of my favorite events because it's very low key, but it's very effective. You come in, you're just waking up, you get your coffee, and you start talking to people. And again, classic networking. You know, are some of our signature events that are unique to the Caldwell Chamber. Nightlight Parade, the Treasure Valley Nightlight Parade, it's been going on for a couple decades as far as I know. And that's kind of like the kickoff to Christmas. You know, everybody loves Christmas in Caldwell. You got the 1,000,000+ lights in Indian Creek, and everybody's doing Christmas stuff. And the Nightlight Parade is what really kind of starts it off. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're getting entries, several entries every day are coming in, and we're gearing up for that. We are going to have a new route this year. Apparently last year there was some issues with traffic that the police department and the fire department really wanted to improve the safety, as they should, and so they asked if we would make some changes to the route, and we're happy to do that. And so I think we've got an even better route this year than in years past, and hopefully it'll go off smoothly.
So I think it's going down Cleveland, coming down Cleveland and Blaine, right?
Yeah, it's going to start right around that McDonald's at Linden and Cleveland, and then we're actually going to be going, because the roads will be closed, the parade will be going up that direction, and then end or take a hard left at Kimball, and then it'll end a couple blocks down Kimball.
What would you say is your favorite part about your position, like just working at a chamber? And what do you think is the most challenging part of your job?
Yeah, so, you know, for anybody that's interested in being a chamber director, it's all the free coffee and hors d'oeuvres you could ever want.
Great.
Every event has, you know, finger foods and coffee.
It's great for college students.
Yeah, it's awesome. My favorite piece of all the chambers I've been a part of has been the fact that I'm always learning something. I'm always finding out what's going on. I get to be kind of in the early adopters of so many different projects and things that are going to be happening in the community. And, you know, I feel like I'm a part of something bigger.
Right.
That's what I love. And I get to not only just take in all that stuff, but, you know, what I find rewarding is I've always wanted to help other people find what they're looking for. I don't know what it is, but I'm always a guy that wants to hear what somebody's struggle is and try to help in some way. And so the chamber is an amazing resource for funneling information into a spot and then finding the people and disseminating that information depending on who needs what. And so I love the fact that we can be a guide, or, you know, call it the concierge of Caldwell. You know what I mean? You go to a fancy hotel and there's a guy that called the concierge that anything you're looking for, he can probably help you find it. And if he doesn't have the answer, he can at least point you in the right direction, or she. That's kind of the chamber, you know? If we don't have what you're looking for, hopefully we can point you in the right direction. And I love that.
Okay. As we start wrapping up, I do want, sometimes at the city level, we get a lot of like frequently asked questions. Is there anything to your knowledge or just through your experience, and it doesn't have to necessarily be through Caldwell's Chamber of Commerce necessarily, but are there some common questions or, you know, things that you need to kind of explain a lot over and over again?
Yeah. Well, the most common one, actually, kind of going back to the very beginning of our conversation, is that we're not actually the city. You know,
yeah.
Because we work so closely with the city, because we're in the know on so many different projects, because again, we're trying to be at those tables, we're trying to represent the interests of the business community at so many things. People think that we are those things. You know, there's sometimes some confusion about who we are and what we do and how it gets done. And, you know, you hear the good old boys network thrown out as a negative sometimes. Usually that's just coming from people that don't understand how the process works.
Right.
And that there are rules to how the city can put out information and how, you know, a project has to come together, you know. And the nice thing about the chamber is we can do things that, you know, the city or other entities, government entities in general, cannot do the same way, because, you know, we're not bound by all those procedural things or communication. We can actually help disseminate information on behalf of those groups in a much more efficient way, because we're not bound by all the same regulations.
Right.
Where it becomes frustrating in my position is we're constantly chasing down misinformation and bad information, and now more than ever,
Right.
there was the information age, and now I think we're in the misinformation age. Sadly, a tremendous amount of time and effort is spent just trying to spread truth about what's being proposed, what might happen versus what is happening.
Right.
That's probably the, but those most frustrating people, what we do can actually turn into some of the most rewarding, when we can actually reach the person that was grossly misinformed and have them listen and say, oh, well, okay, I'm not so against this now, or I think I understand what's really happening and I'm not so worried about it.
Right.
Or seeing a project come about that initially somebody thought was going to be horrible, and then because we were able to take in all the concerns along the way and get those concerns put out, we can actually morph something into a project that turns out to be a win for all the parties concerned.
Right. Well, thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, it's a mouthful, and I could go on forever, but
yeah. So was there any other last things that you wanted to plug or clear up or educate us on, or?
Yeah, we can't do what we do without members and supporters and sponsors, and as me being only 3 weeks into the job, the last thing I want to do is just come in as the new person and ask everybody to join the chamber and ask everybody to sponsor everything we do. But we truly need those things. This chamber has been going through a bit of a transition over the last year. It has not been easy for a lot of folks, and for whatever reasons, transitions happen, and you just have to roll with how things go, and sometimes it goes better and sometimes it goes worse. But what I'm excited about is that Caldwell has so many amazing things just ready for harvesting, for lack of a better metaphor or whatever. So many good things already happening, and so many entities all working for good causes. I don't think it's going to take much on our end to help try to align a lot of those things to see even more progress. It's not that the making progress; they're making tremendous progress. But I know there's concerns about, are we growing too fast? Are we growing smart? Or is this project the right way to go? Parking in Indian Creek area, all these things. But what I'm excited about is that there's so many entities all working to make things better. If the chamber can come and help create more connections and more partnerships with these organizations, we're only going to be better and smarter and more efficient and faster with the way things go, and do it in a way that truly benefits the community, as opposed to just blowing up and having a bunch of problems.
Right. Cool. Well, thanks, Travis, for sharing just about yourself, what the chamber does, what's
pleasure.
going on. But we appreciate the time, and I don't like to wish people best of luck because I don't believe in luck. So it's I know we know that kick butt, doing what you guys are doing, and we appreciate you helping just kind of helping people network and having the right people shake hands, and just thanks so much for supporting city stuff and everything, Destination Caldwell. So yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, and we're sure going to give it a try, and can't say everything we're going to do is going to work perfectly, or I may have an idea that turns out to be a colossal flop, but I hope that the community will be willing to come along for the ride with us and support us, and where we make a misstep, we're going to own it, and we're going to learn from it and come out of it better on the other side. And I think that all we can hope for any entity that's trying to make Caldwell a better place. That's really all we can do. You know, we know none of us are perfect. We don't all have all the answers. If we did, we wouldn't need all the other things. But
Right.
we're going to do the best we can, and I really am looking forward to working with you and the other folks at the city and Destination Caldwell and the Hispanic Chamber and, you know, the hospitals, the utilities, all of it. I love that. One of the favorite things about my job is to just meet so many different people and figure out how we can help each other.
Cool. We look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.